Oh yeah, you gotta love one shining moment. The best, right? I mean, you know. Okay, I'm a basketball coach. You gotta give it to me. You just gotta give it to me. All right, let's see who's trickling in here. All right. Well, welcome everybody. We'll go ahead and get started. It's 5:01. Welcome to our webinar tonight on the Arizona STEM Acceleration Project. Tonight, this particular webinar is geared towards fellows returning and also potential new fellows who are looking to apply for next year. So, Amanda, if you want to hit the next screen here, we can go ahead and do some introductions of folks.
Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties, Mike. Give me just a second.
Okay. Well, while Amanda's working on that, I'm going to introduce two of our most important people to the program, Tiffany and Shala, who are on the call tonight. And I'm going to have Tiffany go first. And Tiffany, if you want to just say hello really quick to everybody and let everyone know what your role is.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany Farr, and I'm one of the program coordinators that we have with ASAP. And so I'm looking forward to working with some of the people who have been here before, and then also some who may be joining us for year two. Thank you.
Right on. And Shala's on the call. Shala.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shala Naraki. I'm program coordinator. So if you have been our fellows for year one, everybody knows me. If you are in year two, welcome to this webinar.
All right. And do we got Jonathan on the line? Is Jonathan here?
He's one of our attendees, but I can allow him to introduce himself if you are available, Jonathan, not to put you on the spot.
No, put him on the spot.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jonathan Perone, and I get the fortunate job of reviewing all lesson plans for the ASAP project. So I got to look at about 1,900 lesson plans over the last few months. And it's been pretty incredible. I've loved looking at all of them and seeing all the great ideas that come in. So anytime you have questions that are STEM content or lesson plan related, you're welcome to shoot them my way.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right, Amanda, can we get next slide?
Yes. In theory. There you go.
All right. How about we do one more?
Well, if you insist. There we go.
Awesome. So just kind of give you guys a little bit of a brief on what's been happening in our office the last couple of months. We have grown. We realized that, this project has gotten pretty big. So it started with me and Amanda, and now it's grown to a family of sorts. It's running it from behind the scenes. So Dr. Ruth Wiley is our head PI. She's the co-director here at the Center for Science and the Imagination. She's actually going on maternity leave any day now, so we're all pretty excited for her. And we also have two new student workers that are joining us this year, which you'll probably hear a lot from them because they're all over the place. Bharat and Patrick, and they are doing some fantastic, phenomenal work behind the scenes to help get the program going. So thank you guys. Next slide, please. So for those of you guys who are coming back, I wanted to share with you guys some of the stats so far. We're still going through stats. It'll probably be another week of stats before we get all the final numbers in, but just want to kind of give you a heads up that we're doing some really good stuff. As of today, we've reached 89,500 students as far as our mass effect on the project. Yes, very excited. 316 schools impacted, over 2,000 lesson plans generated, and currently Jonathan has published 1,000 of them, which is absolutely incredible. So tip of the hat to everyone in their work and their effort the last couple weeks here. As you guys can also see here, kind of give you a little bit of an idea of like what our fellows doing. Classroom activities are definitely top of the list. You know, we have a couple STEM nights in there, but it's pretty dispersed, which I think is really awesome. That's great. It means people are doing a diversity plethora of things, and that's what we want you to do, which is awesome. Next slide, please. So for those of you guys who don't know about the Arizona STEM Acceleration Project, this is a COVID relief grant that we got a year and a half ago. Me and Amanda applied for it with Arizona Department of Education. And we basically said, well, can we affect large-scale systemic change in Arizona from the ground up? And so our framework basically is 3 core parts: teacher training, ecosystem development, and evaluation and organization. And I won't go too in depth with these today, but you know, all 3 of these parts contribute to the overall project and the overall scope of the work that we're trying to do. And we'll go through these here in just a little bit. Next slide, please. So where do we reside at ASU? Like, where are we? So we are not technically in the Mary Lou Fulton Teachers College, and we are not technically under the Center for Science and the Imagination. We're kind of under both of them, kind of doing our own thing, but we are supported directly by both of them. I know it makes absolutely no sense, but that's how grant life works, and that's kind of where we're at. Me and Amanda are actually seated in the Center for Science and the Imagination here at Tempe, and we're always available if you're ever in the neighborhood and want to stop by and chit chat. We're here for you. Next slide. So looking at big picture, the big picture of the project is that, you know, this is what's called a STEM accelerator. So the idea here is that we are using the funding that has been given to us to accelerate STEM across the state on a level that's never been seen before. You know, our big hashtag is reimagining the STEM education ecosystem. And what we've done is we've created basically that. We've created a STEM education ecosystem that did not exist prior, and basically created a marketplace of sorts where teachers can go get professional development from our PD partners. And then on the other hand, we're funding PD partners with resources so that they can accelerate things that they weren't doing before. So for instance, multiple groups have been around for a long time. You know, they might've done, you know, 4 workshops a year. Well, our funding has come in and said, well, hey, could you do 6? Could you do 2 extras for like our fellows that are participating in the program? And then the idea here is that not only are we trying to build up those PD organizations in the state that have been around for a long time, they're all nonprofits, but also create this synergy so that we can kind of get this mama bird, baby bird energy going so that we can accelerate STEM statewide. Our goal is to affect students. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's our end product, right? Our end product is how can we affect students? And all the research says, you know, if you have high quality STEM teachers, or I mean, just high quality teachers in general, right? That's one of the biggest difference makers out there, right? And we all know this. And so our objective is to strengthen the networks of those teachers in the classroom, in the field now, and hopefully at the end of this whole process, make a case for larger investments in STEM education. Next slide, please. So again, ASAP is 3 distinct buckets. Measurement, number 1, which is basically our team in a group called OUEEE. the evaluation, the ASU evaluation effectiveness folks, and they are basically measuring everything that's taking place. They are sending out surveys, they are interviewing folks, which some of you guys, thank you for saying yes to that. They're kind of in the background trying to help us make the case for STEM in Arizona. The second bucket is PD organizations, which aka the STEM ecosystem, the STEM ed ecosystem. And we are teaming with all these partners, providing them additional resources to accelerate what they're already doing, to create more opportunities for teachers, to do some things that have never been done before, right? Which has been pretty wildly successful. And the last part is the ASAP fellows themselves, which are, in my opinion, the most important part of the project, which is, can we support you for the 2 years of this grant in a way that can help you become a better teacher in the classroom, bring STEM to kids, and create outcomes that didn't previously exist beforehand. Next slide, please. So a lot of this is based off of the National Academies of Sciences called the Science Action, which came out 2 years ago. And the National Academies, they're kind of like the big dog for our country as far as like, hey, this is the recommendation, right? This is, this is what you should do for X, Y, Z. And in this recommendation that came out a couple of years ago, they touched on some things that I think me and Amanda really gravitated towards, and we're like, yes, we should be able to do this, and this here in Arizona. And so if you look more broadly, we're using ASAP funds to support Arizona teachers. But at the end of the day, we're trying to prove that the tenets of the National Academies of Sciences hold up. In other words, do the things that they recommend actually work in real life? And we are testing that. And we are looking to see, do these things work? Do they make a difference? And if they do, which we think they will, that has big ramifications across the country, because at the end of the day, other folks can take that information and say, hey, look, Arizona got this investment in STEM education. Look at all the great stuff that happened. Here's what took place. Let's go replicate it somewhere else. And so it's very important that we do a good job with our record keeping, and it's a very good job, or it's very important we do a good job with our, all the data that we're collecting, because, to answer questions like these is not easy. And so we do need all the help we can possibly get to pull this off. Next slide, please. So what is it that they're saying in this document? Number one, elevate the status of science education. That's what we're trying to do, right? But more broadly for Arizona, we are saying STEM education. And so, so for my math folks out there and my technology folks out there, I want you to know that you are included in this, in this game plan. Action 2, establish local and regional alliances for STEM opportunity. That's really important, because all the research says that if you as the educator are part of other organizations, the odds of you staying in your profession longer is the outcome. We've seen it this year, even with the fellows that were embedded with, like, say, ASTA or some of the other cohort models. Their numbers of completion were vastly different than the lone wolves in the group that were not embedded with another group. So we know that this is actually a thing. And so we're trying to get folks involved with other organizations so that they can build those communities wherever they're at. Action area 3 is documenting the progress towards better and more equitable science education. I've been teaching in Arizona for a long time, and I know that sometimes your area code dictates your access to higher quality STEM education, right? We know this. And so we're hoping, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to fix that. We're trying to work on that. How can we get equal opportunities for our kids, and not just, PM and Maricopa, but across the state, statewide? And so we're using this project to facilitate that. Next slide, please. So the one thing that is at the heart of all of this is that teachers are the keystone species of the education workforce, right? You know, if our population of the keystone species is healthy, then we're going to be in good shape. But when it's not healthy, like it is right now, that's a problem. And so if we can use the funds these 2 years to help increase, say, the health of STEM teachers in particular across the state by getting them access to resources, classes, PD, opportunities, you know, that's a good thing for the state overall, right? Because it boosts the ecosystem overall. So one of the things we're thinking about at all times. Next slide, please. So let me give you an idea of what we're talking about when it comes to ASAP fellows. So if you look at how we select folks, right, it's not necessarily, there's some fantastic folks with some amazing resumes that did not get selected last year. And the reason for that is because if you look at how we picked, we tried to pick on this scale that you see here on the screen, right? The bulk of the fellows are in this grades 5 through 8 band. And the reason for that is because grades 5 through 8 is what the National Academies of Sciences has said is the grades that make the most difference for kids in future opportunities in STEM. If we capture kids in those age groups, their odds go up exponentially to, you know, to go into STEM careers. So we knew we had to focus in that area, but in order to pull off the archive, which is the other component of this project, we needed teachers from all grade bands to participate so we could cultivate their lessons and make a complete and robust STEM lesson archive. So that's why it's selected like that. It's also selected, if you want to hit next slide, please.
I also just wanted to throw in there that as teachers, we also know that no matter what your grade level, you teaching STEM to your students is really important. No matter where the focus is for the National Academies right now, we know that we want all of you across Arizona to have access to these things. So that's the other thing I want to throw in there, because you guys are awesome and you deserve this access too.
Absolutely. Do you want to hit next slide? So getting into that, like, how do we select, right? It's based upon, you know, grade level. It's based upon how many kids you say that you could affect with your project, but also a big part of it is geography. So if you look at the map here, what's unique about this project is, you know, we have close to 500 folks scattered all across the state. Every county is represented, every major town is represented, and it's proportional. So if you look at it from, you know, the way the split is, you know, Maricopa has the big, Maricopa has the lion's share, Pima is second, but everyone else is equally distributed based on population. And so we did that strategically so that we could try to make sure that, you know, resources got spread to the widest amount possible with the greatest impact. Next slide, please. So, so telling you that right there, you know, I think that what's really unique about this particular project is that, you know, it's all inclusive, right? We have people from every kind of discipline, every type of background. We do have a couple art teachers out there. I wanted to give a shout out to Bisbee out there because they're doing really great work. Just wanted to let you know. We have music teachers. We have kindergarten teachers. We have physics teachers, robotics teachers. You know, we have a little bit of everybody. We have a pretty good cadre of online teachers. We have a little bit of everyone. We even have charter school, private school, you know, Title I, not Title I. And there's a reason for that. And the reason for that is because by having this really rich data set, people from every type of community, every type of level, if you want to look at it that way, It gives us the ability to give a really great assessment of what we learn at the end, because we have that diversity in the pool that's participating. So and so we've been very aware of that, and we've been trying to make our selections based upon that variety, and how can we contribute to the overall project. So I just wanted to throw it out there. So if you're on the webinar right now and you're thinking, oh, there's no way I qualify for this, I've never taught STEM a day in my life, and I teach second grade, don't think that one bit, because this is actually for you if that's your situation. So next slide, please. So what are the qualifications to be a fellow? We need you to be a full-time teacher in the classroom, or you could be a STEM lead. So if you are like the district science coordinator, we will take that into consideration as well. We need you to be able to complete 30 hours of STEM approved professional development, and that's not negotiable. Like, you have to be able to do 30 hours. And the reason we came up with 30 hours is because we realized that most folks could hack out 15 hours, on the weekends, and usually a conference or a workshop, a 2-day workshop or conference, is at least 16 hours, and most people can get that done in a weekend. So the whole idea is to make it so that you get enough information that it'll make a difference in your teaching, but not enough that it's going to crush you, right? Because we don't want to do that either. You need to be able to, you need to be teaching in grades K through 12. So yes, there are community college teachers out there that have asked about this. No, you cannot participate. I'm really sorry. Pre-K also, sorry, you cannot participate. You have to be at kindergarten. Go ahead, Amanda.
That's not entirely true, but okay.
Do you want to comment on that? Go for it.
I think we had one brave pre-K soul last year.
Yes, I think we did. I think you're right. I think we did have one, but we probably won't have that again this year. Just FYI. You also this year have to be a U.S. citizen, but if you participated last year and you were a J1H1 visa holder, you are grandfathered in. You do not have to. You can still participate. Your paperwork is done. You're good to go. But unfortunately, for this next year, we will not be accepting any J1H1 visa holders. And number one, a desire to make Arizona STEM better. That's what we really want. We need some folks that are willing to make a difference in their communities. And so if you meet those qualifications, highly encourage you to apply. And we want you on this project for next year. Next slide, please. So let's talk about what are the things you got to do as a fellow, right? What do I have to do? So there's a couple things you need to do. First one is a project. Your project must be STEM related. So, if you read a book about, like The Little Prince and draw some pictures, that's probably not going to cut it, right? We're not going to count that. But if it's something that integrates 2 of the letters in STEM, that would be fantastic, because I think the one thing a lot of folks don't realize is STEM is supposed to be transdisciplinary. If you're really doing STEM, you're doing 2 of the letters in the acronyms, STEM. You're doing both or more or all. And so we would like for you to think about how could you do that? How could you do a project like that? Your project must affect kids directly or indirectly. So what I mean by that is a STEM night, awesome, great. You're rewriting curriculum for your district, awesome, that's great too. You're creating a robotics program, or doing an after-school program, or a camp. All of those are fair game. All those are things that we encourage you to look at doing. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and we'll gladly, be thought partners with you on what you would like your project to be. Your projects, just so you know, when we're scoring and we're looking at who to select, we are looking for sustainability, right? We did have a couple folks last year that, they did a quick STEM night and it was done, it was over. And it was like, okay, well, what are you going to do next? Are you what's what is that it? Is there anything else you could do for that? I mean, that's great, but like, the groups that are doing things like, hey, we created a club, David Worth out in the West Valley's got a rocket club going that's going to the highest height, right? Those are long-term sustainable kinds of projects. And we would love to see some more of those kinds of things that could keep on after the funding exhausts itself. Your supplies do not have to match what your projects are. So, I've had a couple of teachers, they bought like meter sticks, vernier force probes, and a couple other things, but they didn't exactly use those specifically for the project. And that's fine. But you do get a very nice $2,500 to buy whatever you want for your classroom. And we would hope that whatever you purchase something that's not going to be used up at one time and one and done. Hopefully you buy things that are going to last. Things like, science instruments, things that you would use for your kiddos that you're going to use over and over and over again. And so, one of the beauties of this particular project is, when we write those checks, they go to you, the teacher, not the school district. And the reason for that is so that you can get what you need immediately. And you do need to be aware that you got to provide us receipts on what you spent that on. But, I don't know about you guys, but, I, for years, had a bookstore lady that never let me buy exactly what I needed. And it was really frustrating. And so, so by doing this, we're allowing you the opportunity to get what you need and also get it from places that usually a lot of times are way cheaper. Multiple teachers this year use places like Treasures for Teachers, Craigslist, things like that. I know a guy down in Tucson that bought a telescope for like $100. It's like $1,000 telescope, but he didn't have to go he didn't have to go he didn't have to write a purchase order for it. He was able to get like some really nice hardware for his kiddos at a really cheap price that, made a difference. So, again, it's all about accelerating STEM and getting you into a position so that you can get your programs going quickly and get them off to the races. So again, just follow up, anything goes, right? STEM nights, curriculum overhauls, experiments, clubs, camps, etc. If you have any questions, reach out to us, and me and Amanda can walk you through what those options might be.
And the other option that we have today during the webinar is that down at the bottom, you'll see the question and answer section. So I've got a couple of people who've been asking questions. I see Rachel has raised her hand, but if you guys can go ahead and put your questions in the question and answer section, we can either go ahead and type easy answers to you while we're doing the presentation, or we can wait and answer a couple of them at the end. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Next slide. So the second part of the program is lesson plans. For those of you guys that were with us for year one, there was a learning curve. And so I want to tell you a little bit about what the lesson plans are and the requirements. So part of the deliverables of ASAP is a gigantic lesson plan archive. We are hoping to get it loaded with 3,000 to 4,000 lessons by the time the project's over. And the idea here is that all these lessons are basically like your 4 best go-to kind of lesson plans that any other teacher can use, relatively quickly. And when I mean quickly, I'm talking like we want them to be able to look at your plan, read through the notes, and as an educator, be like, okay, I understand what they're doing. I understand what I'm covering, what supplies I need. I have everything ready to go. Boom, execute it, and use it as soon as possible. Last year, we had it set up that you had your plans due at the end of the summer, this June 30th. Next year, we're going to disperse those delivery dates. So 2 lesson plans will be due at the first semester. 2 lesson plans will be due by June 30th for next year. just so you know, and I'll talk about this later in the webinar, all our dates are moved up a month from last year. So this year, everything was due on the 30th of July. This year, everything will be due on the 30th of June. So please plan accordingly. So yeah, so going back to the lesson plans, we are following the specific Google Slides format. And the reason for that is very simple. We were trying to save server space, and this was the best solution at the time that we had when we started all this to get all these onto a single website. So the way it works is you will create your lesson, you'll make it in Google Slides, you'll send it to Jonathan. Jonathan has a portal for you to enter it. And then what he'll do is he'll take your lesson, he'll make a copy of it, and then basically we'll make our own copy that will reside within the archive. And then you can, if you want to delete it or whatever, you're fine. But you do need to know that your name goes on these. So make sure that whatever you're turning in, you know that other people will see your work. And so if you turn in something that's less than stellar, just be aware that that's the deal, because you're the author. So just FYI. I can say that out of the 1,000 lesson plans that have been posted so far, I have never seen so many awesome, amazing, incredible, like creative lessons ever. Like there's some good stuff in there. I mean, it's really impressive. So even if you don't join us for ASAP next year, I would highly, highly recommend perusing what's been posted so far and taking advantage of some really amazing content that's out there. It's free, it's for anybody, and it's meant to be shared as much as humanly possible. Amanda, do you want to say anything about that at all?
No, I think that's great.
All right.
I'm just typing answers to questions while you're.
All right. Next slide. So when it's all said and done, this is what we're going to leave behind as a project. So this is the lesson plan archive. It's going to stay here on this website, hopefully long after we're gone. And we're actually revamping it at the moment. So what you're seeing right now is going to probably change in about a month or so, and it'll be a lot more interactive and it'll be way easier to use. But they're rewriting the code as we speak. And I can't tell you anything more about that because I don't understand what it is they're doing. But I do know that it's going to be better than what we have now. And you'll be able to search for stuff based upon grade level and content. And I believe we're going to put like stars next to like some really great lessons out there that I think folks would recommend. So yeah, super awesome side project. And I think folks will be pretty excited about this. All right, next slide, please. So 30 hours of PD. Well, gosh, what does that look like? So we have curated almost 20 organizations. Actually, it's more than that now because since we wrote this, that's actually increased to like 24 organizations. But we've literally created this massive STEM ecosystem of PD providers that are providing PD across the state, which is awesome. Now, here's the best part. Best part is you don't even have to use any of it. You can use whatever PD that you want as long as we can approve it. So let's say you found this amazing conference at NSTA in Kansas City. I'm just throwing it out there. Kansas City's the next NSTA conference in October, and you were like, I want to do that. Go for it. Absolutely. You want to go to Space Camp. You want to go to any of the, you want to go to Math Camp in Washington, D.C. Go for it. You could totally go for it. Just send us a note. To ask us, hey, is this approved? We'll come back at you with thumbs up or thumbs down, and that PD totally counts. One thing we highly recommend that you don't do is there are a lot of pay-to-play organizations out there. I'm sure everybody knows that. And so, think twice about counting that as your PD, because some of those groups we will not count, just telling you. So if you are not sure, just let us know. Amanda, go ahead.
I just wanted to go over this again because to me, what you're saying as a person who's, been going to PD for many years, it makes a lot of sense. But I think one of the things we found this last year is maybe some newer teachers or teachers who've had less experience with PD attendance don't necessarily really understand the distinction that we're making between these, what we're calling pay-to-play organizations, and maybe some of this high quality PD that we've already screened for you and that is maybe more local and we know is going to be enjoyable for you. Because, there's no worse PD than the PD that you're forced to attend, but only slightly less bad is when you go somewhere, you've paid $600 and they're going to basically give you a book that they wrote and say, buy our program. That is also miserable. And so we did get a lot of people, not a lot of people, but many people over the course of the year who said, like, oh, can I go to this? And we said, well, do you want to? Like, are you sure? Because a lot of these organizations that are out there are just, a lot of them are making a buck on teachers. And so if you don't have a lot of experience with finding high quality PD, I would strongly recommend that you stick with the providers that we are giving you because they are either near you or being asked to do sessions near you or are putting their PD online for you. So, there are a lot of good options that are either near you or designed for you. And so we'd really love for you to be able to participate in those because we want you to have a good experience. If you always go to, space camp and, you've been doing that for 20 years and the quality, like of course we're going to say yes, but that's not most of what we were getting.
Awesome. Next slide, please. Oh, go back for me really quick, would you? Let me say one more thing.
Let me try.
If you can, it's okay.
There we go.
Awesome. One thing I will say too is, the question was, what about college credit? Absolutely. One college credit is equal to 15 hours of PD. So 2 credit course and you're done. So you could totally do that if you wanted to as well. There's also going to be the opportunity to double dip this year, so to speak. So for instance, Arizona K-12 Center, as of last week, is going to create a national board science and math cohort. So you could also, apply your PD hours to that, and that could all totally count. So, you would basically be getting paid to go get your certification, which is awesome. The other opportunity that's coming up next year, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, returning fellows will have the opportunity to embed with state agencies. And we have 3 state agencies, the state parks, Maricopa County, the Maricopa County STEM office, and the Arizona Department of Environmental Air Quality. They will also be taking fellows on with the purpose of basically doing all your 30 hours with them. And the idea is that it's a chance to work directly with the state agency, and you're basically helping them because I don't know if you've been to a state park lately, but like some of that content is kind of old and crusty. And the idea would be that you as the education leader could come in and help make some changes in those kinds of scenarios and help those folks with upgrading their content, helping rangers have a little bit better pedagogy when it comes to working with kids, things of that nature. Each group is going to have its own separate thing that they're going to do, and so I don't want to talk a whole lot about that, but that will also be an application process onto its own for fellows that are accepted into the program for year 2. So imagine a fellowship within a fellowship. But I think it's a really cool opportunity to give back and let us pay you to give back, which I think is cool. So, all right, next slide. Research. So as we said earlier, this is a massive research project and we are doing a ton of evaluation. So I'm just going to say right now, if you cannot do an evaluation or a survey, please don't apply. Just don't even do it.
That doesn't mean that you have to participate in the research. And the other thing is that please understand, we are not collecting any student data.
No student data.
Are
None.
Very clear.
Yeah. So I know there's certain districts that are kind of nervous when you bring up the word research at all. But we're not collecting student data. The research we are gathering is things like, how did your STEM network grow? Teacher efficacy, all kinds of things that if you were coming to ASU to take a master's degree program, like on your own, things of that kind of nature that don't necessarily, translate into, hey, I'm studying the outcomes of all the sixth graders at my school over here. We're not doing any of that kind of stuff. So just keep that in mind. But you will get emails from these folks, probably more in year 2 than they did in year 1. And, the expectation is that you do answer their emails and you do kind of answer, some of their questions, because it just helps. It helps the overall project and, what we're trying to accomplish with this. So next slide, please. So I'm trying to hustle because I was like, oh man, it's like 5:40. We're running out of time here. So what am I doing as a fellow? This is the contract that you're basically signing up for. There are 4 milestones to accomplish in the year. And they're all pretty relatively easy to do. Milestone 1 is you're going to fill out all your paperwork. We're going to give you paperwork. If you're a new fellow, there's extra paperwork because we got to get you in the system. And I'm just going to warn you right off the bat, it's going to take longer for you by about a margin of 4 weeks, at least, than everybody else. For those of you guys who are already in the system, it's going to go pretty quick. And then what we're going to do is we're going to issue you your first supply check of $2,500. Now, the check gets issued to you, the teacher. Whatever address you give us really needs to be the address that you're going to have all year, and we're going to send it to you. Okay. Now you need to give us receipts for 2,000 of the 2,500, and $500 is for you for extras. You only need to give us receipts for 2,000 in your end of year report. So that gives you the whole year to spend those funds any way you see fit. But we do need those receipts at the end so that we can justify that you use them and apply them to your project and to your students. Now, if you think of ASAP as dispersing resources, which is kind of how me and Amanda look at it, when we're paying these teachers with these supply funds, we are asking you to purchase resources that will help kids on site at that location for more than 1 year. And so one of the reasons we're trying to get the widest spread possible is so that those resources can get equitably out to as many groups as we possibly can. Milestone 2, once you complete 10 hours of professional development and you've done 2 lesson plans that have been approved, we will cut you a check for $1,000. Now, we understand that by breaking it up, kind of gives you an incentive to kind of keep going. But also, my thought is, when we originally came up with this idea was that, wouldn't it be nice to have $1,000 to hit all the spring science conferences that are popping up in February and March? Just saying, but it would be just enough to attend something, just food for thought there. But again, that check is issued to you and you can do what you want with it. Milestone 3 is when you've completed all your 30 hours. You've completed a total of 4 lesson plans. A check will get issued to you for $3,000. Milestone 4, which will be attached to milestone 3, is an additional $500 if you've completed all your surveys and paperwork throughout the course of the project that will be tacked on to your final last payment. All right, next slide, please. So getting back to state agency partnerships, again, I'm sorry, this was, I put this out of line here a little bit. So the idea here is this. The idea here is that we're going to basically pay you to help this state agency get better at whatever it's doing, especially in its, in its STEM game. Some of these groups are just fantastic. I don't know if you've ever checked out the Maricopa STEM office, but it's amazing. Like the stuff they got going on there is great. And the idea here is that, your 4 lesson plans that you create can be something that we all share. So maybe they want you to work on water quality for Maricopa, right? Well, those lesson plans can be used by the Maricopa folks, and then we can put them in the archive and they can get multi-use. But what's really cool is that you get your name on it and you get the ability to say, hey, I helped participate with these state agencies. I contributed to state agencies, which, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I always thought that was a really great thing when I could put stuff like that on my resume, because it just, it shows folks that like, hey, I'm doing stuff at a little bit of a higher level. And I think that's really cool. Now, each one of these groups is going to take a different number of fellows. I think Maricopa, is about 15 to 20. Department of Arizona Quality, I think, is 10. And I think the parks are about 10 or 15, depending on, we're going to find out in the next couple of weeks or so. So just kind of give an idea of like the numbers of acceptances that they're going to take for these folks. And you will need to apply with them directly if you want to work with those guys. I would encourage you to apply for all 3 because, you never know. But all 3 are planning some really great stuff. So next slide, please. So again, our consortium is growing. We got some new folks jumping in this year. The Arizona Council of Economic Education is joining us, which I'm very excited about. Monica Martinez, she's here on the webinar. She's amazing, just FYI. We also have the Air Force Association joining us this year. They'll be doing a STEM camp in Tucson in March. And last time I heard, I think there's like F-16s that are coming. Should be pretty cool. So that's also happening. And also Northern Arizona University Center for Science and Teaching and Learning is going to be doing workshops for us up in Flagstaff. So, plan accordingly, because, I think, NAU at ski season is always a great time, just saying. But yeah, we have a lot of great stuff coming down the pipe. I've been looking at what folks are planning on doing for this upcoming year. There is a plethora of things on every kind of level, kindergarten through, some pretty hardcore physics stuff. STEM Teachers Phoenix has a lot of very awesome speakers that are coming in. Rebecca Vieira is coming in from FET at one point in time, which is amazing if you ever got to do anything with her. There's also a couple of astronauts, I think, that are coming with them. They're doing all kinds of stuff. And then again, also throughout to NAU, Arizona K-12 Center, again, they are starting an entire cadre of math and science for folks that want to become national board certified, which, if you're in certain districts, that gives you a huge raise, which is awesome. So, so next slide, please. So again, we got some amazing folks out there doing some really great stuff. Year 2 timeline, again, everything is going to get moved up. We will probably have answers for you on year 2 folks no later than probably September 1st. I'm hoping we get that a little bit earlier, but that's what we're shooting for right now. We'll probably get all your paperwork going and have first checks sent out around October this year, which gives you plenty of time to get your projects underway and going. January, you will see surveys coming out about what you're doing so that we can do a little measurement check. And then in May, we'll start collecting your end of year reports and your receipts, and everything will be due by June. So plan accordingly. No July workshops will count. We have to shut down the house June 30th and start, doing all our data collection assessment before the grant runs out. So, so again, that's our rough timeline for this year. And yeah, and so we're pretty excited about this. I think we've accomplished a ton so far. I'm looking forward to next year and seeing what you guys all do. So next slide, please. All right, so I'm going to leave this here for a little bit. It's the link to the application if you haven't already gotten it. And we're going to take some questions here in just a second, but I just want to say, like, I have never participated in something like this before in my life, and watching it is just absolutely incredible. All eyes are on Arizona, which is pretty cool. We get calls from Washington, D.C. about the things we're doing. National Academies of Sciences is watching what we're doing. NSF is watching what we're doing. It's been really exciting. And if we do what we think we can do, I think we will make an incredible case for further investment in STEM education across the state. And I think we'll do it in a way that's never been attempted before by, the grassroots level. And I just think that just speaks volumes about, the folks that are working with us, that are in the program. Again, 90% of the fellows I think it's actually 96% of the fellows completed this project, which is enormous. Which basically, folks are excited about this. That's all I can say. It's pretty awesome. And I'm just going to throw this out there. We even have a former Nobel laureate possibly joining us this fall to also do research with the project as well. So there's a ton of very exciting things coming down the pipe, and we are so excited to have you guys with us. And I'll yield my time and we'll start taking some questions. All right. Amanda, how do you want to do it? Do you want to just go through the chat for question and answer?
There we go. Why don't you take a look at those first two that are there? I'm typing a couple more answers while you get those first two.
All right, let's see. All right, Michelle, if I started a STEM program at my school this year for grades 5 through 8, but I'm only half time, does that disqualify me? I would say apply, and we'll take a look at it, but it depends. If we don't have enough applicants, sure, but if we have more than enough, then probably not. I don't know if that really helps, that really answers your question or not, but that's pretty much all I can tell you at this point. Let's see. Monica Martinez, you all rock. I'll take it. Thank you very much. Rachel, yes, thank you. First year was great. Awesome. Let's see. Hi all, is the link listed below for both year 1 and 2 applicants? Yeah, so there is no distinction. Everyone is reapplying. So just wanted you to know that that was the only fair way to do it. And it was the only way logistically that we could do it because the mass volume of the applications and reports and all the things we're dealing with. So, me and Amanda are doing the best we can as fast as we can. And this was pretty much the only way we could pull this off, was to just have everyone reapply. So yes, everyone is reapplying. When will we know if selected? Around September 1st, you'll get an email. We'll send you an email whether you did not get selected or if you did get selected. When you do get selected, you'll have paperwork to fill out, and we'll share all that with you when the time is right. Let's see. Let's see. These are moving really quick. I already applied for second year. How will we know if our application was received? So at the current moment, we are not set up to give you an automatic feedback on if it was received or not. But if you hit enter, I'm sure it went in. And if you absolutely need an answer, we will try to respond to you. But again, that's not a priority at the moment because we have probably 300 emails still in the inbox we're trying to answer at the moment. So, but we'll do the best we can, I promise. How many fellows are you expecting to have in year 2? Probably around 400, 450-ish is kind of what we're shooting for at the moment. So just kind of give you an idea on the scope there. All right. Any other questions? I completed the systems thinking PD, which I highly recommend to fellows. It's a pretty good one, not gonna lie. Waters Institute has got it going on. It's pretty amazing.
I was going to say that for those people who haven't done the fellowship before, if you're accepted, what we'll do, one of the first things in the first month or so is have another kind of meeting where you will have the opportunity to go into breakout rooms with the different PD partners. So we'll send out all the information that the PD partners have sent to us, saying like, oh, STEM Teachers Phoenix has an astronaut coming. They have an engineering workshop. They have, they're doing all of these things. ASTA is doing a cohort and it's going to be on these days. AATM is working school district, so we'll send out all this information and you can look through it, see what is interesting to you. And then one of the things that you can do as a fellow, particularly if you're outside of one of the metropolitan areas, is we really encourage you to connect with one of these PD organizations that's doing something that's interesting to you and encourage them to come to your location. We had some great successes with that. Lake Havasu was really vigilant. The teachers in Lake Havasu, they really contacted these organizations, and there has been massive quantities of PD, really cool stuff happening out in Lake Havasu because the teachers there got together. The fellows got other teachers to come to the PD. They said, hey, we're having somebody come out here. We're having SciTech come out to do this PD. Why don't you come? And they had, large quantities of PD that was happening there because the teachers connected with these organizations. These organizations are being paid by us to go into different areas outside of Phoenix and Tucson and to a certain extent Flagstaff. And, so they're looking for places to go. We did have a couple of times last year where, a PD organization set up something in a town because there was interest expressed and then, it never materialized because they had 2 people sign up for it. So, we're going to do that again next year. You're going to have the option of connecting with these organizations and encouraging them to come to your area. And we're also going to be looking at where our fellows are located and encouraging them to go to those areas as well. If you live extremely far from a larger metropolitan area, we do know that sometimes, those people in more rural areas are, I don't want to say more happy to drive a little bit further, but, me living in Central Phoenix, if I have to drive more than 45 minutes, I start getting grumpy. But what we're finding from the surveys is that, if you're in Lake Havasu, maybe driving an hour to go to a PD is not as big a burden for you because, we've gotten it close to your area. So, there's a lot of those kinds of things that we can work out in the next couple of months. Just contact us, contact the the different PD organizations once we've sent out all this information, and we can start getting something that's near you.
No, that's great. One of the other questions here too is, I heard a rumor about 20 hours of PD. Yes, we do need you to do a majority of your PD in person. 10 hours can be on, up to 10 hours can be online. That's fine, but we would like 20 hours to be in person, because we do believe that is really important, that you are physically in a room learning, because that makes a big difference.
There were a couple of exceptions that we made for various different reasons last year, but for the majority of people, we're working very hard to get PD near you, or to get you access to organizations who are willing to come to you. So we really want to take advantage of that.
Question is, what about college classes? Can those be online for college? Yes, absolutely. College work, if you want to take a college course, absolutely, that can be used for your 30 hours of PD. And it's only like 2 credits, even though I know most are 3 credits. That's totally fine. In fact, I would highly encourage you taking college courses never go away. Like once you got the transcript, they never go away. So go for it. Same anticipation for higher concentration of middle school fellows. Yes, but I will say that the curve is going to come down. You guys are all familiar with the curve, right? So we're going to probably bring that curve, we're going to flatten the curve just a little bit by about 20%-ish. So, we do need some lessons from some more high school disciplines and some more lower elementary disciplines. And so we will probably flatten that curve just a little bit, FYI. Let's see. Another question. Are you sending an email to people who applied already, saying that your application was received? No, we are unable to do that at the moment. My apologies. So, but if you sent it, I'm sure we got it. But if you absolutely are worried about it, send us an email and we'll take a look at it when we get a chance. Let's see here. I think that's all of them, Amanda. I can't see any others that we haven't answered already.
Let me take a look here. And the other thing about the emailing people who applied, let me back up a step. Please check to make sure that your emails are correct as you're putting in your applications. We did have, a couple of problems last year getting a hold of people. But, as we all know, if you are using your school email for your main email address for the application, either make sure that you have access to that and checking it, or that you include an alternate email. Once the applications are all, ready to go and we're looking at them, we will be able to begin emailing people. But I'm hesitating. The reason I'm hesitating is because I don't want to say this because it'll make some people freak out, but I really did think that there was an email that was going to people saying that the application was done. But Mike's face just dropped. He's like, don't say that, they're going to email us. But I must be wrong about that. He's like, don't say it.
I don't think there is. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So let me just say that we have tried very hard to redo all the data collection behind the scenes. So we're using, when we started this, we were using, Google Forms, right? Google, all the, the Googleverse, and it was getting crazy really quick with the data. And ASU switched us over to Qualtrics, which is way more efficient. And now we're putting things into this wonderful program called Airtable. Not that anybody really wants to know about all this, but but there are limits, and the limits are like, we can't exactly always send like automatic responses like, Google does. And we can't always, there's little things that we can't do with this new system, but as far as doing the research later, it makes our lives easier. So that's why we went with that. So I apologize right off the bat. But how many applications have been received so far? Not enough. I'm going to tell you that right off the bat. So tell friends and family, hey, apply. Tell colleagues. We don't traditionally go past 2 fellows per school unless there's a real definite need there. There are a couple schools that have co-fellows, but not many. But if you know folks in your district, other colleagues that be interested in participating, definitely let them know. The odds are very high right now at the moment. But if I've learned anything about this group, I've learned that the 11th hour matters. So deadline is Friday. Right now I would say your odds are very good, but don't quote me on that going into Friday, because things can change very quickly.
And if you have somebody at your school that really wants to apply, or you really want them to help you with your project, that kind of thing can really be a benefit, not only for you, but for applying, because we know that if you have a support structure there, that can be a really successful thing at your school, and you can impact more kids. So that is, if you're in program for year 1 and you have somebody that, is thinking about applying and, is wanting to help you with what you're doing, or do their own project, have them apply, because we'd rather have an embarrassment of riches than, have a bunch of assistant principals applying and wanting to buy Chromebooks for their school or whatever,
Well, let's take this one last question here. Rachel said, we were trying to be a STEM school at Peach Springs on the yes, and yes. Rachel, we are all about that. And I'm going to tell you too, Rachel, that we are totally planning on coming up to Peach Springs at some point this fall. So just keep that in mind. I know it's 6:08 here and we're past time. But I did want to say one thing before we go. We do have a Facebook group. We never intended the Facebook group to get as wildly popular as it has become, but it has become a huge place for information. There are a lot of, you bet, Rachel. Actually, Rachel, just FYI, everyone, is the northernmost fellow. I actually put it into Google and did the math. You were actually the northernmost fellow in the group, up by the Grand Canyon, which is awesome. So, but at any rate, long story short, Facebook group is awesome. Right now it's currently open, so anyone can just join it. I'm going to probably have to lock it down after we pick our next group, so the t-shirt guy doesn't keep trying to spam us with Arizona STEM Acceleration coffee mugs and t-shirts. Though they are pretty dope, I'm going to say. I think someone actually bought one and I saw it and I was like, wow, that's actually a cool shirt. But unfortunately, I'm not allowed to, because it's ASU, I'm not allowed to thumbs up on that. But at any rate, but definitely check it out. Ask questions on there. Me and Amanda are on there like all the time answering questions. It's a great place to ask whatever you want to know. And just, reach out to us and we can answer those questions for you. And there's a great community on there as well. I've seen a lot of great camaraderie on there. I know a lot of people have been actually like helping each other out with different things, which has been awesome. So
it has a lot of ASAP particular information on it, but even if you're not an ASAP fellow for year 2 and you're part of the Facebook group, It has a lot of information about upcoming PDs and opportunities. People have put, fellows have posted grant opportunities that have come around. There's all kinds of stuff that people throw up there to help each other. And so we really appreciate that. I kind of want to say that we can hang out and answer a couple more questions. But I also didn't want to keep people much past 6 if, they need to get to dinner or do whatever else they need to do with their evenings at the beginning of the school year here. So I just wanted to say we really appreciate you guys and we appreciate your time. And Mike and I are both former teachers, and it's why we have designed this program the way that we have, because we respect you and we respect your expertise and your knowledge of your students. And we want to support you in the things that you want to do. You are experts on your students, you're experts on your community, and we want to give you the support, the supplies, the money to do the things that you want to do. And that's our goal, because we want to help you impact students. Anything else? Please feel free to put questions in the chat. I see that there's a VEX robotics question here, but if you need to go, please feel free. We're just gonna keep answering questions. Mike, we don't have anything VEX specific, but you are.
VEX is totally fine.
Yeah.
If you're gonna, because we want to support VEX because they do all the big robotics championships. And I do think that I have to look it up, but I think we do have a group that is actually sponsoring a VEX robotics workshop in spring. I have to go look it up though. So
yeah, we're still in the middle of solidifying what everybody's doing and getting all that information. So yeah, we also last year tried to look up the VEX events that were happening on campus, and we're running into a little bit of problem there. So check back in. Let's see. Thanks, Jackie. All right. Anything else? Thanks, Monica. Rachel, I don't know if you saw Monica's comment about if you have a STEM night, ACEE, would love to support you. All right. All right. Anything else? Well.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for coming tonight. And this will be recorded, and we will post it on the website in the next day or two.
All right, then have a great night, everybody. We are still wrapping up year 1 stuff. So just know that we're trying to transition to year 2. We're trying to answer everybody's questions, but hopefully the application is really self-explanatory. You can apply, and then we'll get back to you in the next couple of weeks. Yay, good. Send it in now. All right.
All right, thanks everybody.
Have a good night.
Yay, good job.